In this video, I'm going to talk about the Houston Rockets being ranked #1 in the NBA in defensive rating, and also look at some of the film from the Denver Nuggets game and the defensive masterclass the Rockets put on the Denver Nuggets, only having them scoring 86 points. You don't want to miss this. Tap in right now. Enjoy. The Rockets Chop Shop is your one-stop shop for all your basketball needs, for highlights, analysis, podcasts. We do it all here at the Rockets Chop Shop. Make sure you hit the like button on the videos that you watch if you enjoy them. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications from all the great drops that we have on the channel. Also, you can visit the Chop Shop merch store and get you some of the swaggiest gear in the Houston Rockets kingdom. And if you want, you can always support the channel directly through donations. And if you want, you can support us through our partnerships with our sponsors. The Rockets Chop Shop is made by fans, for fans, and we're going to keep rocking and keep dropping that heat.
This is something I know.
I don't think people understand how impressive the Rockets win over the Denver Nuggets was, especially in the manner they did it. Like, just holding that team to 86 points is just hella impressive. And I'm going to show you guys a team, a good team, New Orleans Pelicans. They played Denver earlier this year, and they played Denver like a lot of teams play Denver, which is scared out of their minds about Nikola Jokic. And once you play into that fear, it really does cause a lot of issues for your team. I'm going to contrast how the Rockets played against Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. We're looking at here, you have KCP coming off a double screen here into a dribble handoff with Nikola Jokic. And just want to pause to show you, look how many bodies from the Pelicans are trying to stop KCP from curling to the basket. And this is just, this was their game plan. They were going to overhelp to prevent these actions from occurring and overhelp wherever Jokic was leaning towards. Look where Michael Porter Jr. is. Look where Aaron Gordon is. You're dead to rights at this point. You have one of the best shooters in the NBA standing there in the slot and one of the best cutters in the NBA in the corner there. Dead to rights. He passes the ball to Porter Jr. Brandon Ingram is already out of position. So just focus on the attention that Jokic gets in these plays and the damage it does for everything else. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because we held all these role players, or the others, the non-Jokic players, we shut them down to the best that we could. So here you have a little off-ball screen here with Jokic and MPJ. Aaron Gordon is going to feed that. You have Jonas in a deep drop, bad screen navigation. Once again, keep mental notes for when we see what the Rockets do late to note. Look at the contest, Brandon Ingram. That's not even a contest, right? That's money. The reason I'm pointing these plays out, I want you guys to really understand how good your Rockets are playing defense, and it's not a fluke. Another play, Jokic in the post. As soon as he catches the ball against Jonas Valanciunas, who you would assume a big body that would be able to guard him, look what the Pelicans do. Herb Jones has to come over and immediately help. And once you do this, you're screwed. And you have one of the best passing big men. So they're just conceding advantages to the Pelicans. And MPJ just cuts behind the defense because he understands that you have to make a choice. If they had took his cut as the thing that Jordan Hawkins wanted to choose, you would have a wide open shot there. And this leads to a wide open dunk. So once again, over helping on Jokic, which is what your natural reaction is to do against these type of teams. You want to help against their star player. So just quickly, this wasn't something, and we saw that Aaron Gordon went 0 for 12. He was also on the hit list for the Rockets to be able to shut down. This is the chaos they cause. They have shooters, cutters all around them. Once your defense is committed to stopping them, then they're going to punish you for it. And this is what the Nuggets want from teams. So now let's look at how the Rockets actually played them in some of their plays. And I'm going to look at a couple plays with Michael Porter Jr. and a couple plays with Aaron Gordon. So by now, the Rockets are already up big in the game, but just to show you guys some examples of the type of plays that they're using to basically blow up every action that the Nuggets have. Initially here, you want this off-ball screen with Jokic and MPJ. MPJ is going to come off the screen to get an entry pass into attacking Şengün in the drop there, but Dillon Brooks denies it, right? He denies it, does a great job. What you're seeing here, Jabari does not care about Jokic. This is where the growth from our young guys is knowing your personnel, right? Şengün stays with Jokic in his primary assignment. Now they're going to try to get a screen. It's going to get a down screen there to get MPJ. Remember what we saw with Brandon Ingram and that contest. This is that was losing. Look at this contest by Dillon Brooks. That's how you win games, guys. That's how you win games with contests like that. But all of that to get that shot for him, we're not panicking. The Rockets didn't double team Jokic. Everybody's just on an island. Every single player is left on an island. Şengün is left on an island. Dillon Brooks, you have your job. Take care of your assignment. Everybody, you're on your own. At the same time, while they're playing isolation defense against the Nuggets, because that's what they want, they are also helping each other, but it's doing it at the right time. Okay, you get a Şengün post up here. If this was the Pelicans, it'd be 10 people around Jokic right now. But they left Şengün on the island. And most teams aren't strong enough mentally to do this. And Coach Udoka said this in the post-game conference that...
Is it difficult to stick with a game plan like that when one guy, gets rolling the way he did and not, okay, let's send help?
It's not difficult for the coaches. It's difficult for the players that are kind of going through it, or the guy that has to guard them one-on-one. But it's always that balance. You got 20-point cushion, transition and threes will get them back in the game. And, those hard-fought twos, if we get some stops, we can get on running. So we'll live with that. And for us, it's telling them stay the course, don't get frustrated, don't foul when we're in the bonus there, and make them earn everything. And that slow pace for those guys and taking away the threes seems to work for us.
But you see, isolation, Şengün is by himself, right? If you're going to help, you want to help late. You want to help when Jokic makes his move. You notice Dillon Brooks is not the one that comes over to help. It's Fred VanVleet off of Braun, who's not a super great shooter like MPJ is. And once the help comes, he even just stunts the helps and is able to recover to the cutters. This is film study, guys. Now they've created this cocoon around Jokic. And once again, championship effort just to recover. I mean, he probably would have made that shot, but just wanted to point that out. Jokic has the ball. Usually teams are going to be just dying right now, right? Everybody's going to be scrambling, but look at the Rockets' disposition. Yes, they're looking at him, but everybody's focused on their assignment. Jalen's on KCP, Jabari's on Aaron Gordon, Fred stays on Jackson, Dillon is on MPJ, and once he passes this rock, usually what would happen is our guys are supposed to be going after Jokic. Jalen would have crashed down to try to help on Jokic because they're scared Şengün is going to get a score shot on him. But everybody's on an island, and Dillon is able to just get there and give you a championship contest, double contest. These are winning plays. This is why we have a good defense. Here, I'm going to give the bench unit a little bit of love because they're a huge part of what we're able to do as a defensive team. The Rockets have their switch 1 through 5 personnel out there with Alpi on the bench and Jeff Green playing the 5. And here's what the Nuggets are going to do to try to attack this that they have, right? They're going to go to Aaron Gordon on the inbounds pass, and knowing the Rockets want to switch, all this is DHO with Reggie Jackson and Tate. Riley switches, and Aaron Gordon is going to try to get positioning here on Jeff Green, and it's just one-on-one. So on the next go-round, the Nuggets like what they saw in that play, and they're going to try to attack a perceived mismatch here. Same play, you get Aaron Gordon sending a screen for Reggie Jackson. It's not on the inbounds this time, but they like that look. So now instead of Green being on Aaron Gordon, you have Fred VanVleet on Aaron Gordon. But guys, to me, this was my favorite play of the night. Look at this defensive communication between the Rockets, right? Green is on Jackson. Fred is on Aaron Gordon, which could be a mismatch. It is a mismatch, by the definition of it. But here's what they do. At the last second, before anything happens, before he even gets the ball, they scram switch that bad boy. And the scram switch is where you kind of pre-switch a mismatch, especially in the post, where you have a bigger defender that's trying to get on a smaller guard or somebody like that. You have the wing or if you have another big on the court, get in position, and the other defender just peels back. And this is just special defensive. This is stuff I saw with PJ Tucker and Luke Mbamute and them boys. This is stuff I saw with the Rockets back when we had a top 10 defense in the 65 win season. And now a matchup that was a mismatch becomes a swatted shot by Uncle Jeff. Elite defense. That is elite. So as you can see from the clips from the Denver game, the Rockets are real. I mean, this is real stuff. Once again, I've been saying this throughout the season. What they're doing is sustainable and it's scalable. Real stuff. They're fighting hard on defense. They're playing hard on defense. And most importantly, they're executing. And execution is such an underrated part of any type of sports, right? That people have a lot of times, even with, Steven Silas, last year, I'm sure, like, if you look at their coaches' game plans going into each game, they have a beautifully drawn out, like, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to stop this guy. Here's the offense we want to run. Here's what we want to do. And you get out there when the bullets start firing, it's kind of, it goes to pots. Like, guys don't do what they're supposed to do. Guys aren't in position to make the plays they're supposed to make. Guys aren't disciplined enough to be in those positions. And that's where the disconnect comes with certain coaches and their players. It's one thing to have a mind to, be a savant and be this high level thinker as a basketball player and a basketball coach. It's another thing to actually execute it in real time on the court. And I think for the Rockets over these past few years, that's where a lot of their issues have been, is in execution. Contrast that to Ime Udoka and what he has the team doing now, largely with a young core. They have the number one ranked defense. And, it is a real question to ask, is this something sustainable and is it real? So I'm going to go through some stats about the Rockets defense and, do what I do. And we can see, y'all be the judge if this is real, if you think it's sustainable or not. The first thing we're going to look at are the play type ranks for your Houston Rockets. You can see here, what they're ranked. So for this 24 season, we rank 6th in isolation, 1st in transition, 15th in pick and roll ball handler, 9th in pick and roll roll man. In post-ups, we're 21st, spot up 17th, handoffs 13th, and off-screen 30th. I mean, that's just a random selection of numbers. What does that mean? And I like to contextualize things and to be able to see and look at it relative to what other teams have done. So what I did was I looked at the previous top defenses from the past 2 years, which were the 2023 Cleveland Cavaliers of last year. And then ironically enough, another Ime Udoka team, which was the Boston Celtics of 21-22 season that went to the NBA Finals. And there's some eerily kind of similar stats between what the Rockets are doing and what the Celtics are doing. We're doing in that time frame. And I don't think it's a coincidence. Obviously, it's the same coach. I think Ime, as much as he likes to say he's a well-rounded coach, I think his calling card is defense. And I think that the way he plays defense and his players plays defense is a reflection of his philosophies. You can see one of the most important stats in being a good defensive team in the NBA is guarding in isolation. And this is something that the Rockets really take pride on. And this is, to me, one of the most important things they're doing to really change the narrative about what type of team they are, is the isolation defense. In that Denver game, when I reference in the film, you guys notice a lot of the plays, they leave guys on an island. You have to win your matchup. And that's the foundational principle of any defensive, whatever. I don't care what type of defense you run. If you can't win one-on-one matchups, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, no matter how many sets, the point of the offense is to get players in advantageous positions where they could take advantage of matchups. And for the Rockets, being able to win those matchups, whether they're perceived as disadvantageous or advantageous, is going to determine how good their defense is. So right now they're ranked 6th. Mind you, this is with Alperen Sengun, Jabari Smith, and Jalen Green getting a bulk of the minutes on the starters on the team. So ranking 6th in isolation, you compare that to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who ranked 3rd, and the Boston Celtics in 22, the championship team that almost won a championship. They were number 1 team in guarding in isolation. And we'll look at some stuff that really shows where their strengths were for that team. But obviously, once again, context. You think about the players we have. Jabari Smith at 20 years old. You have Jalen Green at 21 years old. Alperen Sengun at 21 years old. Those 3 players alone are the gap between being a 6th isolation defensive team and a 1st isolation team with the Celtics and the Rockets. And the Cavs, their play style last season, having 2 very dominant big men, really allowed them to do a lot more and allowed their guards to be able to chill a little bit more. The Rockets don't have that luxury. Transition, Rockets ranked 1st, Cavs ranked 6th from last year, and the Celtics in Ime's year there were 4th in transition. Transition is another baseline defensive metric that you want to look at to make sure that you're going to be stopping teams that are in transition. If you can't stop in transition, you're going to be a bad defense. It's really, really hard to be able to sustain having a good defense and winning games where teams can get out and run on you. And for the Rockets in the past few years, guys were getting out and running and made baskets off of live rebounds and inbounding. So no matter what it was, whether it was a self-created transition or a missed shot transition, we couldn't stop the ball. This year, the Rockets ranked number 1 in the NBA by a decent margin. They're a really, really good transition team. You can count on your hand how many times a team has gotten out in transition and just waltz to the basket for a layup. And I'm sure if they did, Coach Udoka damn near had a stroke because he would call the timeout immediately. So first and fourth. So we have those two, isolation and transition. Those, to me, those are base defensive metrics. Isolation is one-on-one defense, just you mano y mano, and transition is just effort and discipline. And those are two things that, to me, you have to have. So being first and six so far seems legit, right? No smokes and mirrors. Pick and roll ball handler. This is the ability to guard the perimeter players coming off the screens and pick and rolls. Rockets ranked 15th, middle of the pack in the NBA. Cleveland ranked 7th in that aspect, and the Celtics from the 2022 season ranked 17th. So the Rockets are actually doing a better job guarding the pick and rolls than the Boston Celtics did. And Cleveland really does a great job of guarding pick and roll because they have length on the weak side, and they have length in the action as well. Whether it's Jared Allen as the primary big, being able to contest on those guards or stop them from getting to the rim, or some of their perimeter defenders like Okoro being able to fight around. Otherwise, their backcourt is trash on defense. So a lot of that heavy lifting was done by Mobley and Jared in that pick and roll ball handling. Guarding the roll man, here's where it gets a little, you can see, and I love numbers because they don't lie. Numbers don't lie, right? Pick and roll man, this is the ability to guard the lob, right? Guard the lob, guard the run, the rim run, guard the players that want to get to the rim with the big man, the pick and pops. All of those things are being guarded. Rockets ranked 9th. This is heavily on Jeff Green and Alperen Sengun. And Sengun is really doing a great job. This is one of his strengths, is actually guarding big men. You think about where he's hurting on the court on defense for Sengun. It's not on rolls, right? We saw what he did with Mark Williams, shut him down, had a pedestrian game. We see what he does with Valanciunas. Some of these big men that like to pick and pop, that's really not there for them anymore. Really, the only big man that abused them in the pick and roll was Zubac from the Clippers. And that was more of James Harden than Zubac, right? Because James Harden put so much pressure on your pick and roll defense, kind of puts you in no man's land because he has a floater. He has a mid-range game now. He can get to the basket. He can draw fouls. Then you got a big 7-footer running next to him that's going to dunk on you. That's big as hell. So other than that, he's been pretty stellar in guarding the pick and rolls this season because he does a great job of putting himself in between where he can help the guard and also be able to peel back to the roller. So that's really where his strengths are. With the Cavs, they're not good at this because, once again, a lot of their defense is heavily relying on their bigs being able to defend those guards, those wings that are setting those pick and rolls. They're coming off the screens because Donovan Mitchell is not gonna be dying to fight over a screen to try to get and stop the ball like Fred VanVleet does. So looking at this, that's why they're ranked 29th, and the Celtics ranked 5th in this. Same reasons the Rockets are. They have good defenders, Marcus Smart out there, Jaylen Brown out there, to a lesser extent, Jason Tatum out there fighting over those screens. Then you're able to have smart defenders like Al Horford and Time Lord out there to be able to stop those pick and rolls. Post-ups, this is a weakness for the Rockets because of Alperen Sengun and because of our size, right? A lot of teams are bigger than us, so they're able to post us up and be able to score. And this is where Alp really has to improve on. He started off the season pretty good on post-ups, and it kind of since he's been getting some really, really good centers. And you think about the centers he's been playing, Zubac went to work on him a little bit in the post. You had, Valanciunas didn't really do much, but multiple Jokic, I think Jokic is carrying that post-ups a lot because he's one of the few guys that post up a lot. So it is a bit inflated because those two matchups, Jokic damn near had like 80 points between those two games. But this is somewhere he needs to get better. And overall, across the board, Jabari's bad on post-ups. Jalen's bad on post-ups. Dylan's decent. Fred VanVleet is elite. But this is an area where the Rockets are not great at. And you could see Cleveland, they're really good on that because they have the length at the big position. You're not really going to post up Jared Allen. You can do a little bit with Mobley, but he can contest with length. They were 3rd in that. And then Celtics were 13th, middle of the pack. Nothing really, they were okay in post-ups, the Celtics were. Spot-ups, Rockets ranked 17th. This is guarding spot-up threes. Right now, the Rockets are over-helping just a smidge, just a little bit. And you can see that spot-ups is the area of weakness for the Cavs. Once again, they were built from inside out on their defense. So a lot of times where those big men were packing the paint to try to help, you can generate a lot of open threes on the Cavaliers. And that's how a lot of teams beat them, right? You can shoot on them. You might not get anything inside, but if you can shoot, them Cavs are going to let you. The Rockets middle of the pack. You're not mad at that. One of the best teams at defending the threes in the NBA. So let's say that, right? We are, I think, number one in 3-point field goal percentage. And then the Celtics were second in the NBA in guarding spot ups because one, they have length at every single position and they have smart defenders. So it's like having a bunch of Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet's out there. I mean, you're talking about Al Horford, you're talking about Time Lord, you're talking about Jaylen Brown, you're talking about Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart. Elite defense, guarding spot ups. That's the difference between being an 8th seed and being a number 1 seed and going to the finals, right? Those experienced players that are able to do that. And dribble handoffs, Rockets are 13th. Cleveland was 7th, and then the Celtics were 12th, right? So DHOs, another weakness of ours. I feel like even though we're middle of the pack, I feel like we could do a lot better with them in this season. And off screens, the Rockets ranked 30th, and this is where our biggest weaknesses are. It's fighting those off-ball screens, and this is largely due to a couple of our players. Obviously, Jaylen could be better coming off, fighting off screens. A lot of the screen plays are guys getting lost and getting, just getting lost. They're just getting lost, and that's going to come as the IQ starts to build up. So that's our one area of weakness. You can see that was also an area of weakness for the Celtics, and there is a correlation with that with playing aggressive defense. The Rockets and the Celtics, and in those years, and once again, Ime Udoka's calling card, played really aggressive defense. And one of the trade-offs for that is that teams are going to be able to play on your aggression by using movement and motion. But with the IQ as it builds up, you're able to kind of counter that with just making smart plays like we did against the Nuggets. So for the individual starters, let's look at their strengths and weaknesses and how they add to the number 1 defense the Rockets have. So for Jalen Green, we'll start off there. His defensive profile, his biggest strength right now, which is a revelation for Jalen Green, is a pick and roll ball handler, being very good at that. These ratings are from Synergy. He is holding pick and roll ball handlers to 0.75 points per possession, which ranks very good in the NBA, which is great. You know what I mean? As a guard playing with Alperen Sengun, that's an area of strength that you want to see go up because Sengun is not going to be a 1 through 5 switch guy. So you need your guards to be able to fight around those screens on the pick and rolls and be able to be at the hip of those ball handlers coming off the screens. Great to see from him. His weakness right now is off screens. He is definitely one of the worst players navigating screens off ball in the NBA. He gets lost. He gets cut on. He's a step slow a lot. This is an area that he definitely can improve on with more awareness and more time on the court. He just has to play within the system more to be able to navigate these strings. Honestly, to me, that's not a hard fix. It's not a physical thing for him. It's more of him just being more aware. And I think that's going to be there for him to do as an NBA player. For Jabari Smith, his strengths right now are handoffs. Jabari is great at navigating dribble handoffs because you guys are starting to see he's using his length to his advantage. When he's coming off those handoffs, he's using his hands to be able to get in there to have the defender feel him prior to getting that ball. And he's just using his length and being able to fight over and play bigger and than his size. And usually Jabari has been playing smaller, especially since he's been benched. Dude has been balling on defense. He's holding players getting handoffs to 0.667 points per possession, which is ranked very good. Jabari's weakness is pick and roll ball handler. So he's still not a great screen navigator, especially on those pick and rolls where he has to fight around to a player that's moving downhill. The speed just isn't there to be able to get around and get to the hip of the defender. You don't expect that to be because Jabari he's low-key a big man, just a skinny big. So, but he is improving on that. The handoffs, the difference between handoffs and pick and roll, the handoffs are usually there's more space and not as much momentum with the guy getting the ball, right? A handoff could be for a player to get a shot. And if Jabari is just there to use his length to just be present once they get the DHO, then that's enough to stifle the defense from wanting to do what they do. A pick and roll is usually motion and movement, and that requires hip navigation, turning, foot speed, things that he needs to improve on going forward. So you can see he can definitely get better on that. I don't think he's ever going to be elite as a pick and roll ball handler guard, but those are things that he could definitely improve on and not be ranked as poor. For Alperen Sengun, his strengths, he has 2 strengths that he's ranked as excellent at on Synergy. Guarding spot ups, he's ranked as excellent, one of the best players in the league at guarding spot ups at different points in the court. And to me, this is really, really one thing about Alp. A lot of players do make buckets on him, but when he contests well. He knows how to contest. On those spot up threes, he's able, like, it kind of ties back into his pick and roll man defense. He has good foot positioning, able to position his body. He knows how to close out good. All of that lends to him being good at this. And pick and roll man, this, I spoke on earlier. He's ranked excellent. I think I put a tweet out that showed that Alp was ranked maybe 6th or 7th in the NBA at guarding the big man in the pick and roll. That includes pick and pops and lobs. And he's just doing a great job of playing that in-between zone where he's able to stun on the ball handler coming, peel back to his primary assignment. Whether it's a pop, he's able to play in between where he can help in the passing lanes and also be able to close out on those shooters. So, this is a major development for him this season. As a defender, that he is anchoring one of the best defenses in the NBA. You add all the stuff with his offensive capabilities, man, it really gets special for him. And then his weakness right now is the post-ups. Right now he's getting cooked in the post. And yes, like I said earlier, a lot of it is Jokic, but there's still, he still needs to get better. He's gotten better, but he needs to keep getting better. And that's something that I know that Coach Udoka is going to work on. I think a lot of his post-up mishaps come when he's fatigued and he starts trying to steal and reach for the pass or trying to overload to one side and giving up a lane for the post-up players to be able to get to a certain, whether it's baseline or things like that. Things that technique and conditioning and strength as he gets older. He's 21. When he's 25, when he's 24, hell, when he's 23, this will not be an issue for him. Fred VanVleet, Fred is multiple strengths. Fred is one of the best post-up players, guards in the NBA right now. And you guys can see it. When teams try to take advantage, you saw it with the Aaron Gordon clip. When they try to take advantage of him, he has quick hands. That's where Fred is going to get you. He's stout, so he can get under you and have good leverage, but he's swiping at the ball. He's getting his hands. He's going to rip it. And then, he's just a tough player and scrappy in that. He's great at guarding the pick and roll ball handler. Once again, a guy that fights over a screen. So in post-up, he's excellent. Pick and roll ball handler, he's very good. And he's also very good at guarding handoffs. So Fred is pretty much a complete package as a defensive guard. The only weakness that he really has was coming off screens, which is ranked as below average. And it's the inverse of the Jabari thing, which is for off screens, he is just too small, right? Players are able to get to shoot over him because he's short. Even if he's in position to contest, he's just short. There's only so much he can do with a player that's coming off a screen and is already has the momentum going downhill or is going to come off and shoot. And a lot of times with him and Şengün, their pick and roll defense is good, especially when Dylan Brooks is there to be the other help side defender. If Dylan isn't there, he does struggle a bit, but not really much to say about his weaknesses there. And then for DB, which is our best defender, if he can stay on the court, his strengths are dribble handoffs, isolation, and coming off screen. So he's a demon everywhere on the court that a wing is supposed to be. So you're excellent in guarding DHOs. We see this. He gets around those handoffs, gets around those screens with wide hands, able to be in front of his guys. He's very strong, so he's able to move the screen out the way a little bit, which can be a foul sometimes, but more times than not, they're not going to call it. In isolation, he uses his body to guard and has late hands to the ball. And what I mean by late hands means he's able to swipe the ball when the guy's about to make their move, which is actually a really, really key skill to have in a lot of sports. If you think about it in football, a wide receiver that has late hands means that you're able to keep your body positioning without giving up your hands early. So you can go for those passes without tipping off the defensive back and catching it. It's good in basketball too, because as a defensive player, if you're swiping early, guys can anticipate when you want to swipe and they can draw fouls on you. A lot of his fouls are just weirdo, kind of dumb fouls. But otherwise, he's a great defender. Only weakness is his spot ups below average at giving up 1.167 points per possession. You know what I mean? And the only reason, honestly, it's a weakness is that a lot of times he does get caught deep in help position and he has to recover. But to me, he's still one of the best contesters in the league. So I just think that's just relative to other stuff. But just a great defender all around. Then you look at how we compare to the strengths. So I wanted to look at the strengths from the Houston Rockets and the Ime Udoka Celtics, right? To see whether our collective of players, and this is just our starters, I'm not even talking about the great defense we have with Tate, Tari, and Jeff Green off the bench, whether our collective of players kind of fits the profile of an elite defensive team, which the Boston Celtics were an elite defensive team. And to me, what I see from our team is a team that plays to the weaknesses of each other and helps each other out. And you look at Fred's strength, right? It's always important if you're going to have a good defense, especially when you want to switch, whether it's 1 through 4, 1 through 5, to have a guard, especially if it's your smallest guard, your point guard that can guard in the post. So that's checkbox 1. You look at Marcus Smart, a great isolation defender, a great post-up defender. You look at Fred VanVleet, post-ups, pick-and-roll ball handler, and handoffs. So anything on the perimeter and on the interior, Fred can guard, which that takes relief off a lot of actions that teams want to do. If you want to bury the small guy, we've seen this happen in the playoffs where teams hunt the small guy to just post up over and over. Now, we've seen guys abuse Fred, like Kawhi Leonard was going to work on him, but that's Kawhi. How many Kawhis are there in the NBA? Whenever you have to start compensating for the weakness of your players, that lowers your ability to be an elite defensive team and lowers your ability to be able to make deep runs in the playoffs. And for Fred being a great post-up defender is a great thing. For Jalen Green, he offers pick-and-roll ball handling right now. What that means that you cannot hunt them out in the matchups with the screener, right? You can't just bring him up and call your big man to try to get him off of you. Now, you can hunt him in the post because he's not a great post-up defender. You can still hunt him in different actions. You can cut on him. There's ways you can get on Jalen, but the pick and roll is not one of them. And I think that's very important as well with him and Alperen Sengun out there, because a lot of times what the Rockets will do is we have guys with overlapping weaknesses and they compound on each other, or weaknesses that are adjacent to each other, meaning a guy can guard the pick and rolls and then your big man can guard the pick and roll. So we're going to spam both of them in the pick and roll. Now you can't really do that. You can see how Jalen and Alperen Sengun are connective pieces on a good defense. We have an elite big man guarding the roll man, and we have an elite guard guarding the ball handler. So that really works. And you look at our two backcourt players are both guys that can guard the pick and roll. And then you look at our big man is a guy that can guard the roll man. Are you guys seeing the picture I'm starting to paint here with why our defense is elite? So you have the backcourt and the back line taking care of in pick and rolls. And let me give you a heads up. In the NBA, pick and rolls are 80% of the offense teams run. There's a few teams like the Warriors that don't, do a ton of pick and roll. Now they do with Chris Paul off their bench, but most teams span pick and roll. There's, teams vary it, but most teams span pick and rolls. When you have your backcourt are great at guarding the pick and roll, ball handlers, and your big man can guard the roll man, you're shutting down 80% of the league. Let's move on. You can see for the Celtics, Jaylen Brown, his biggest strength was guarding screens. So that's why their spot ups were so elite, guarding those spot ups, because they have multiple guys that can do guard handoffs and screens in different ways. Now you get to your wing positions with Dillon Brooks and Jabari Smith. You see Dillon, his strengths are guarding handoffs and in isolation, which is important. You need that handoff because obviously a lot of teams are going to run a lot of screens to get shooters open, especially their wing scorers. Then isolation, the reason Dillon is important in this role is because he is our island guy, right? Now, I said the Rockets play on an island, but you can put DB on an island on anybody except LeBron. But you throw him out there and you say, go guard Jason Tatum, go guard. Now, they may still have 30 or 40, but they're going to work for it. And they're going to work for it. And I want you guys to start switching your thinking about star players scoring on our team and that equating to their team success, because it doesn't necessarily mean so. If you can get a star player to score 40 points and impact nothing else with their team because they're trying so hard to get a shot off and they're hitting them, but they do nothing else, you've won. They're going to get theirs. I think PJ Tucker said it. Guys are going to get theirs in the NBA. You just got to make them work for it. If they're working, then they're slacking on defense. They're slacking on playmaking. Other aspects of their game suffer, and Dillon does that for us. So you have a guy that you can throw on a individual scorer. So you've taken away pick and rolls, which is going to be the backcourt of a team and the big man. You've taken away pick and rolls. Now you've taken away wing scoring. And then we move to Jabari, who his strengths are handoffs. Jabari is our weakest defender at this moment. As well as he's been playing, he is the weakest defender on the team, but he is playing much better. And him being able to guard handoffs is big for us, especially on the perimeter. You want your wings to be able to guard handoffs. Like, that's almost a prerequisite to be a good defensive wing in the NBA, because a lot of teams are going to use those handoffs to try to get those shooter shots. He's doing that, and he's doing that at a well. Look at Robert Williams, who played the Jabari role for them on defense. Robert Williams was really the key to the Celtics defense, one of the keys. But look at him; and all of these are ranked excellent. Handoffs, excellent. Post-ups, excellent. Pick and roll man, excellent. Off screens, excellent. Spot ups, excellent. He's able to help on the weak side with Al Horford playing that center field role as the drop big. He's able to close out on shooters. You've seen the clips of him blocking guys' 3-point shot like we see with Wemby. He does that. He was doing that before Wemby because he has an incredibly long wingspan. You've seen him get out sometimes in ISO on players and use his length and his wingspan to be able to corral smaller ball handlers and keep them in front of him and contest with length and have them taking bad shots. Jabari needs to get to some level of that. Now, we don't expect Jabari Smith to be Robert Williams, right? But to me, Jabari, once again, on both ends of the court, Jabari is the X factor for the Rockets. He's the X factor to the extent that he can, especially on defense. Now, Jalen has that ceiling raising capabilities, but for us to sustain how good we're playing on defense, Jabari has to be elite at multiple things on defense, just like Dylan Brooks is. If you can clamp up that Jabari piece there, then this defense is not just a 1 seed defense. It becomes an elite, top of the line, playoff ready defense right now. Personally, I don't believe that collectively we're ready to be there. I'm excited about next season to see these things, but just giving you guys a preview of what the guys are doing and why I think that this is sustainable. So we've talked about the backcourt being able to guard pick and rolls, and the big man with Şengün. We see Şengün is good at guarding spot ups, so that means he can close out on shooters, which is very important for him to be able to do, and he can guard the pick and roll man, which is other bigs. Şengün needs to do what you can see where Al Horford is elite at, isolation, right? Şengün needs to be better in ISO. He's better in some aspects of isolation, but he needs to be better in isolation guarding when he is forced to switch out on players, being able to keep them in front of him. I've seen flashes of it. It's there. It's going to come with, it's a matter of time. Then you get to post-ups. I think post-up is going to come with strength as well. He's been doing good. I think the Jokic matchups has inflated a lot of those post-up attempts, but that is also there. And I think he's been doing a damn good job. He's one of the highest rated defenders on our team, and it's not a coincidence. Now, he gets cooked by, star players, but hey, welcome to the NBA. So just to reiterate, once again, strengths are guarding pick and rolls. We have wing defenders that we can throw at you that are going to be able to destroy a lot of those DHOs that teams try to do, like the Warriors, like the Spurs. You can't run your pick and rolls, and then you can't run your lobs. You can't really do much on the team except try to post up and isolate on our weaker isolation defenders. And this leads into why the Rockets were able to destroy the Denver Nuggets and hold them to 86 points. They can't really run any of their actions because we have guys that could guard dribble handoffs with Jabari and Dylan. And I'm not even talking about the bench guys. There's better defenders off our bench than some of our starters, right? But regarding your handoffs, you can't run pick and rolls. You're going to be forced to either isolate on a weak defender, which on our team, the isolation guys you can pick on is Jalen, Jabari, and Şengün, the young guys, or you're going to have to go post up with your big man if he has the skill set to do so. How many bigs are actually posting up in the league and it can do it at a competent level? And you even compound the fact that even if you are posting up, you're not getting any threes because we hold teams to the lowest field goal percentage on threes. So you're not shooting threes, you're trading twos, and we're going to be bombing threes on you. This is why the Rockets are number one. This is real. This is sustainable. This is Ime Udoka's calling card. Not only generating threes on offense, but also shutting down teams' three-pointers and forcing them into isolation matchups. This is what Jeff Bzdelik did with the 2017-18 team that won 65 games. You force teams to beat you one-on-one and take tough shots. That is a playoff-ready defense. If they get to the playoffs, and I think they will, whether by the play-in or just straight up, and I'm moving this up. Like I told y'all, I used to be 35 to 40 wins. I'm up to 40 to 45. If this defense sustains, I still think that 40-ish range is where they're going to be because their offense has a lot of room for improvement. If this defense sustains, they're going to be in the playoffs because on a night-in, night-out basis, there are not a lot of teams that could beat you just one-on-one. Think about the losses that they've had. Aside from the early games where they were trying to learn each other, think about the 3 road losses. Think what it took. It took 3 or 4 of the best players on isolation in NBA with James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and to a lesser extent, Russell Westbrook, playing well, and then a 4-point play by James Harden in the last seconds of the game to beat us. That's because we forced them to play isolation, right? So that's a loss. You get it to the Lakers where LeBron had to turn back the hands of time and play like the 2018 playoff LeBron and to beat us. And they only won by 6 points, and most of those are garbage points. So you think about the Warriors game and Clay having to go off. And even in the 2 games we lost with the Warriors, with Steph having to have late game heroics, and it's not even within their main action. It's guys just hitting tough contested jumpers. That is real, man. That is real stuff. And there's not a lot of teams that have Steph Curry or Klay Thompson. There's not a lot of teams that have Kawhi Leonard or James Harden or LeBron or Anthony Davis. So you start thinking about that and you face off some of these lesser teams in the NBA, you're going to beat them. The Memphis Grizzlies of the world. I mean, not that bad, but you think about teams that are out there. I mean, there's so many teams that have subpar, non-elite self-creators that run their system. And if you're a system team that doesn't have a guy that could bend the defense and just force you the issue, you're probably going to lose to the Rockets. And even if you do have a guy that could force the issue, guess what? He got to drop 50, and it might not even be enough because we'll let him eat, but I guarantee you across the board, your 5 is not going to beat all of our 5. That's what Ime Udoka is doing. That's the defense the Rockets are running, and it's real. I don't know if they're going to finish top 3, top 2, top 5, top 10, but I know that the defense is real, and barring any injuries to any of their key players, I definitely believe that they're going to be a top defense in the NBA, wherever that falls in going forward. But y'all let me know, is this the biggest surprise that you've seen from the Rockets, or is it just their overall play? I think personally for me, it is. I mean, the defensive play, being ranked number 1 at any point in this year is just short of amazing, right? It's nothing short of amazing. It's a miracle, and why I think Coach Udoka is the coach of the year. But y'all let me know in the comments and in the chat. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. Keep supporting the Chop Shop, and we're going to keep dropping that fire.